The strongest force in academia is not electromagnetism, it's not gravity, it's jealousy.
Is there positive reason to think that extraterrestrial life exists? And is this really at the core of space exploration?
There have been a few things like, you know, the wow signal, this weird little radio bleep that was detected a few decades ago that couldn't be explained at the time, but now has a naturalistic explanation. There are things like the Oumuamua object, which fell into our solar system. Again, there are reasonable naturalistic explanations, and my philosophy is that because I want it to be alien so much, I should be very wary of assigning that cause to anything I see until everything else has been so thoroughly ruled out, or something is absolutely clear.
Speaking there about Oumuamua, can you tell us a bit about that and your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the thing is that only over the past decade, astronomers discovered the first objects from outside the solar system. The first reported one was Oumuamua with a telescope in Hawaii, and it was the size of a football field, quite big. And the amazing thing is that as it was rotating, actually tumbling every 8 hours, the amount of sunlight reflected from it changed by a factor of 10. That's a lot. Usually, most of the rocks that we see in the solar system, as they tumble, the amount of sunlight reflected changes by up to a factor of 3. This one was a factor of 10. And actually, the best fit to the variation of light was that of a flat object. Okay, so here you have it, an extreme geometry pancake, flat object. Then it showed push away from the sun without any cometary evaporation. There was no evidence for dust or gas around it. So what was pushing it if it's not the rocket effect? And I suggested it's just sunlight. Now, a few years later, another object discovered pushed by sunlight. That ended up being a rocket booster that was launched in 1966 by NASA. So why would we not consider on the table the possibility that Oumuamua could have been manufactured technologically? My paper on this subject was accepted for publication in the Astrophysical Journal Letters, and the referee said this paper makes a lot of sense because the object is extremely weird. When did I start getting pushback from people like Matt? When was it? When the public started getting interested, when the media paid attention, because the strongest force in academia is not electromagnetism, it's not gravity, it's jealousy.
So it was the French astronomer Urbain Le Verrier who discovered Neptune, by the way, by seeing a tiny glitch in the orbit of Uranus, and Newton's laws told him that there had to be another planet out there, and he looked and there it was. And this was an incredible success of just, you know, theoretical discovery, discovering a planet in the math before in reality. He became very famous, you know, was lauded as the greatest astronomer in France as a young man, and spent the rest of his life looking for Vulcan. And he found it twice. 2 times he found a speck, and he claimed that Vulcan had been discovered. And so here we have this interesting case where someone wanted something to be there so much that he found it, and we see what we expect to find. And for this reason, scientific conservatism, although it can be fraught, is built into the way we approach science. We have to be meticulous, we have to be careful, and we have to check what biases we are introducing into our interpretations of data. Urbain Le Verrier was curious but obsessed with what he thought reality had to be. It took another curious person to see through those prior assumptions, Einstein, to realize that it was gravity that was different. So I think Avi's characterization of the scientific community is, and fair enough because this is meant to be entertaining, is cartoonish. I think a good scientist does a delicate dance between conservatism and curiosity and tries to check their own biases, but understands that the more they want something to be true, the more careful they need to be. And also, Avi, I really want us to look for aliens. So I'm happy to correct you on that.
The way to do science is to collect evidence, build observatories, collect data, and get to the bottom of the question that you're asking. The way I approach it is 2 papers. One accepted for publication earlier this week in the Journal of Chemical Geology, refereed by 3 reviewers, all of which recommended the paper for publication. This paper reported about the findings from an expedition. We went to the Pacific Ocean, to the site of a meteor that the US Space Command had data on, and they reported in an official letter to NASA saying this object was moving too fast to be bound to the sun, therefore it was interstellar. And I said, okay, this is an interstellar object, let's go to the site where the fireball of this object was discovered and collect materials from the bottom of the ocean, 2 kilometers deep. A lot of work, planning for a year, this expedition, going there for 2 weeks, collecting the materials, bringing them back to the laboratory of my colleague at Harvard, Stein Jacobson, a world-renowned geologist, and analyzing the material for a full year. What did the mainstream of the scientific community do when I was doing the work? What did it do? What it did is first say, we don't believe the US government data. This must be wrong. Second, all they found is coal ash. And just to remind you, nobody in the scientific community had access to the materials. I had them in my hands. Why would another scientist say it's coal ash without having access to the materials, if not to just derail the process of scientific inquiry? And that, what I'm saying, all of these statements were made in published papers.
To continue watching this video, click the link in the top left or in the description below. Or visit iai.tv for more debates and talks from the world's leading thinkers on today's biggest ideas.